I'm back for another reading. I'm actually getting close to the end. After after 8 weeks, 8+ weeks, 2 months. Wow. But I'm reaching closer to the end. This has been a good reading. It started off pretty, then slowly starts getting interesting. And Terry, you got my word. When I'm successful, we will meet. We will meet. When I reach that stage where I'm stable and successful, we'll meet. I will go down to Australia and we'll connect. Trust. Because I'll probably have this channel for like years. Because every day is another opportunity to keep learning. Every day is a lesson. Every day is an opportunity to learn. It's education. You never stop learning. So I'll probably have this channel for years to come. So you got my word. We'll meet. The dog contented himself with merely observing local fauna. Timid deer could often be seen ascending or descending their trails. Raccoons were plentiful and fun to watch, and although some were quite friendly, Einstein knew they could turn nasty if he accidentally frightened them. He chose to keep a respectful distance. On other walks, the retriever had been dismayed to discover the squirrels, which he could approach safely, were terrified of him. They froze with fear, stared wild-eyed, small hearts pounding visibly. Why squirrels afraid? He had asked Travis one evening. Instinct, Travis had explained. You're a dog, and they know instinctively that dogs will attack and kill them. Not me. No, not you, Travis agreed, ruffling the dog's coat. You wouldn't hurt them. But the squirrels don't know you're different, do they? To them, you look like a dog, and you smell like a dog. So you got to be feared like a dog. I like squirrels. I know. Unfortunately, they're not smart enough to realize it. Consequently, Einstein kept his distance from the squirrels and tried not to terrify them, often sauntering past with his head turned the other way as if unaware of them. This special day, their interest in squirrels and deer and birds and raccoons and unusual forest flora was minimal. Even views Even views of the Pacific did not intrigue them. Today, unlike other days, they were walking only to pass the time and to keep their minds off Nora. Travis repeatedly looked at his watch, and he chose a circular route that would bring them back to the house at 1 o'clock, when Nora was expected to return. It was the 21st of October, 8 weeks after they had acquired new identities in San Francisco. After considerable thought, they had decided to come south. Substantially reducing the distance that the outsider would have to travel in order to put its hands on Einstein. They would not be able to get on with their new lives until the beast found them, until they killed it. Therefore, they wanted to hasten rather than delay that confrontation. On the other hand, they did not want to risk returning too far south towards Santa Barbara, for the outsider might cover the distance between them faster than they had traveled from Orange County to Santa Barbara last summer. I'm gonna put these bad boys on so that when I go to sleep, it'll be easier for me. I'm about to go shower next anyway, so. They could not be certain that it would continue to make only 3 or 4 miles a day. If it moved faster this time, it might come upon them before they were ready for it. The Big Sur area, because of its sparse population, because it was 190 air miles from Santa Barbara, seemed ideal. If the outsider got a fix on Einstein and tracked them down as slowly as before, the thing would not arrive for almost 5 months. If it doubled its speed somehow, swiftly crossing the open farmland and the wild hills between there and here, quickly skirting populated areas, it would still not reach them until the second week of November. That day was drawing near, but Travis was satisfied that he had made every preparation possible, and he almost welcomed the outsider's arrival thus far. However, Einstein said that he did not feel his adversary was dangerously close. Evidently, they still had plenty of time to test their patience before the showdown. By 12:50, they reached the end of their circular route through the hills and canyons, returning to the yard behind their new house. It was a 2-story structure with bleached wood walls, a cedar shingled roof, and massive stone chimneys on both the north and south sides. It boasted front and rear porches on the east and west. Either vantage point offered a view of wooded slopes. Because no snow ever fell here, the roof was only gently pitched, making it possible to walk all over it. And that was where Travis made one of his first defensive modifications to the house. He looked up now as he came out of the trees. As he came out of the trees and saw the herringbone pattern of 2x4s that he had fixed across the roof. That would make it safer and easier to move quickly across those sloped surfaces. If the outsider crept up on the house at night, it would not be able to enter by the downstairs windows, because at sundown, those were barricaded with interior locking shutters, and Travis had installed himself, and that would foil any would-be intruder, except perhaps a maniacally determined man with an axe. The outsider would then most likely climb the porch post onto the front or rear porch roof to have a look at the second floor windows, which it would find also protected by the interior shutters. Meanwhile, warned of the enemy's approach by an infrared alarm system that he had installed around their house 3 weeks ago, Travis would go onto the roof by way of an attic trapdoor. Up there, making use of the 2x4 handholds, he would be able to creep the edge. He would be able to creep to the edge of the main roof, look down on the porch roof or on any portion of the surrounding yard, and open fire on the outsider from a position where it could not reach him. 20 yards behind and east of the house was a small rust-red barn that backed up to the trees. Their property included no tillable land, and the original owner apparently erected the barn to house a couple of horses and some chickens. Travis and Nora used it as a garage because the dirt driveway led 200 yards in from the highway, past the house, directly to the double doors on the barn. Travis suspected that when the outsider arrived, it would scout the house from the woods and then from the cover of the barn. It might even wait in there, hoping to catch them by surprise when they came out for the Dodge pickup or the Toyota. Therefore, he had rigged the barn with a few surprises. Their nearest neighbors, whom they had met only once, were over a quarter mile to the north, out of sight beyond trees and chaparral. The highway, which was closer, was not much traveled at night, when the outsider was not much traveled at night when the outsider was most likely to strike. If the confrontation involved a great deal of gunfire, the shots would echo and re-echo through the woods and across the bare hills. So the few people in the area, neighbors or passing motorists, would have trouble determining where the noise originated. He ought to be able to kill the creature and bury it before someone came nosing around. Now, more worried about Nora than about the outsider, Travis climbed the back porch steps, unlocked the two dead bolts on the rear door, and went into the house with Einstein close behind him. That kitchen was large enough to serve also as the dining room, yet it was cozy. Oak walls, a Mexican tile floor, beige tile counters, oak cabinets, a hand-textured plaster ceiling, the best appliances. The big plank table with four comfortable padded chairs and a stone fireplace helped make this the center of the house. There were 5 other rooms, an enormous living room and a den at the front of the first floor. 3 bedrooms upstairs, plus 1 bath down and 1 up. One of the bedrooms was theirs, and one served as Nora's studio where she had done a little painting since they moved in. And the third was empty, awaiting development. Travis switched on the kitchen lights. Although the house seemed isolated, they were only 200 yards from the highway, and power poles followed the line of their dirt highway. Followed the line of their dirt driveway. I'm having a beer, Travis said. You want anything? Einstein patted to his empty water dish, which was in the corner beside his food dish, and scooted it across the floor to the sink. They had not expected to be able to afford such a house so soon after fleeing Santa Barbara, especially now when during their first call to Garrison Dilworth, the attorney informed them that Travis's bank accounts had indeed been frozen. They had been lucky to get the $20,000 check through. Garrison had converted some of both Travis's and Nora's funds into 8 cashier's checks as planned, and had sent them to Travis, addressed to Mr. Samuel Spencer Hyatt, the new persona, care of the Marin County Motel where they had stayed for nearly a week, but also claiming to have sold Nora's house for a handsome 6-figure price. He had sent another packet of cashier checks 2 days later to the same motel. Speaking with him from a payphone, Nora had said, "But even if you did sell it, they can't have paid the money and closed the deal so soon." "No," Garrison had admitted. "It won't close for a month, but you need the cash now, so I'm advancing it to you." They had opened 2 accounts at a bank in Carmel, 30 odd miles north of where they had now lived. They had bought the new pickup, then had taken Garrison's Mercedes north to the San Francisco airport, leaving it there for him. Heading south again, past Carmel and along the coast, they looked for a house in the Big Sur area, where when they had found this one, they had been able to pay cash for it. It was wiser to buy than rent, and it was wiser to pay cash rather than finance the house, for fewer questions needed to be answered. Travis was sure their ID would stand up, but he saw no reason to test the quality of Van Dyne's papers until necessary. Besides, after buying a house, they were more respectable. The purchase added substance to their new identities. While Travis got a bottle of beer from the refrigerator, twisted off the cap, took a long swallow, then filled Einstein's dish with water. The retriever, you just put on, take it back. I take it back. Okay. The retriever went to the walk-in pantry. The door was ajar as always, and the dog opened it all the way. He put one paw on the pedal that Travis had rigged for him just inside the pantry door, and a light came on in there. In addition to shelves of canned and bottled goods, the huge pantry contained a complex gadget that Travis and Nora had built to facilitate communication with the dog. The device stood against the rear wall, 28 1-inch square tube made of lucite, lined up side by side in a wooden frame. Each tube was 18 inches tall, open at the top, and fitted with the pedal release valve at the bottom. In the first 26 tubes were stacked letter tiles from 6 Scrabble games, so Einstein would have enough letters to be able to form long messages. On the front of each tube was a hand-drawn letter that showed what it contained: A, B, C, D, and so on. The last 2 tubes held blank game tiles on which Travis had carved commas or apostrophes and question marks. They decided they could figure where the periods were supposed to go. Einstein was able to dispense letters from the tubes by stepping on the pedals, then could use his nose to form the tiles into words on the pantry floor. They had chosen to put the device in there out of sight, so they would not be required to explain it to neighbors who might drop in unexpectedly. As Einstein busily pumped pedals and clicked tiles against one another, Travis carried his beer and the dog's water dish out to the front porch where they would sit and wait for Nora. By the time he came back, Einstein had finished forming a message. Could I have some hamburger or 3 wings? Travis said, I'm going to have lunch with Nora when she gets home. Don't you want to wait and eat with us? The retriever licked his chops and thought for a moment. Then he studied the letters he had already used, pushed some of them aside, and reused the rest along with the K and T and apostrophe that he had to release from the site to. Okay, but I'm starved. You'll survive, Travis told him. He gathered up the letter tiles and sorted them to the open tops of the proper tubes. He retrieved the pistol grip shotgun that he stood by the back door and carried it out to the front porch, where he put it beside his rocking chair. Oh yeah, where'd Nora go anyway? Talking about we gotta wait till Nora gets back. Where is she? He heard Einstein turn off the pantry light and follow him. They sat in anxious silence. Travis in his chair, Einstein on the redwood floor. Songbirds trilled in the mild October air. Travis sipped at his beer, and Einstein lapped occasionally at his water. And they stared down the dirt driveway into the trees toward the highway they could not see. In the glove compartment of the Toyota, Nora had a .38 pistol loaded with hollow point cartridges. During the weeks since they had left Marion County, she had learned to drive and, with Travis's help, had become proficient with the .38, also with the fully automatic Uzi pistol and shotgun. She only had the .38 today, but she'd be safe going and coming from Carmel. Besides, even if the outsider had crept into the area without Einstein's knowledge, it did not want Nora. It wanted the dog, so she was perfectly safe. But where was she? Travis wished he had gone with her. But after 30 years of dependency and fear, solo trips into Carmel were one of the means by which she asserted and tested her new strength, independence, and self-confidence. She would not have welcomed his company. By 1:30, when Nora was half an hour late, Travis began to get a sick, twisted feeling in his gut. Einstein began to pace. 5 minutes later, the retriever was the first to hear the car turning into the foot of the driveway at the main road. He dashed down the porch steps, which were at the side of the house, and stood at the edge of the dirt lane. Travis did not want Nora to see that he had been overly worried, because somehow that would seem to indicate a lack of trust in her ability to take care of herself, an ability that she did indeed possess and that she prized. He remained in his rocking chair, his bottle of Corona in one hand. When the blue Toyota appeared, he sighed with relief. As she went by the house, she tooted the horn. Travis waved as if he had not been sitting there under a leading blanket of fear. Einstein went to the garage to greet her, and a minute later they both reappeared. She was wearing blue jeans and a yellow and white checkered shirt. But Travis thought she looked good enough to waltz onto a dance floor among begowned and bejeweled princesses. She came to him, leaned down, kissed him. Her lips were warm. She said, "Miss me terribly? With you gone, there was no sun, no thrilling from the birds, no joy." He tried to say it flippantly, but it came out with an underlying note of seriousness. Einstein rubbed against her and whined to get her attention, then peered up at her and woofed softly as if to say, "Well, he's right," Travis said. "You're not being fair. Don't keep us in suspense." "I am," she said. "You are?" She grinned. "Knocked up." "Oh my," he said. Preggers, with child, in a family way, a mother to be." Yo, Travis was putting in the work. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Damn, Nora's pregnant. That's awesome. He got up and put his arms around her, held her close and kissed her and said, "Dr. Wango couldn't be mistaken." And she said, "No, he's a good doctor." And Travis said, "He must have told you when." And she said, "We can expect the baby around the 3rd week of June." And Travis said stupidly, "Next June?" And she laughed and said, "I don't intend to carry this baby for a whole extra year." And finally Einstein insisted on having a chance to nuzzle her and express his delight. "I brought home a chilled bottle of bubbly to celebrate," she said, thrusting a paper bag into his hands. In the kitchen, when he took the bottle out of the bag, he saw that it was sparkling apple cider, non-alcoholic. He said, "Isn't this a celebration worth the best champagne?" Getting glasses from a cupboard, she said, "I'm probably being silly. A world champion warrior, but I'm taking no chances, Travis. I never thought I'd have a baby. Never dared dream it. And now I've got this hinky feeling that I was never meant to have it, and that it's going to be taken away from me if I don't take every precaution. If I don't do everything just right. So I'm not taking another drink until it's born. I'm not going to eat too much red meat, and I'm going to eat more vegetables. I never have smoked, so that's not a worry. I'm going to gain exactly as much weight as Dr. Wango tells me I should, and I'm going to do my exercises, and I'm going to have the most perfect baby the world has ever seen. Of course you are, she said, filling their wine glasses with sparkling apple cider and pouring some in a dish for Einstein. Nothing would go wrong, she said. Nothing, he said. They toasted a baby in Einstein who was going to make a terrific godfather, uncle, grandfather, and fairy guardian angel. Nobody mentioned the outsider. Later that night, in bed in the dark, after they had made love and were just holding each other, listening to their hearts beating in unison, he dared to say, maybe, with what might be coming our way, we shouldn't be having a baby just now. Hush, she said. But we didn't plan for this baby, she said. In fact, we took precautions against it, but it happened anyway. There's something special about the fact that it happened in spite of all our careful precautions, don't you think? In spite of all I said before about maybe not being meant to have it, well, that's just the old Nora talking. The new Nora thinks we were meant to have it, that it's a great gift to us as Einstein was. But considering what may be coming, that doesn't matter, she said. We'll deal with that. We'll come out of that, all right? We're ready. And then we'll have the baby and really begin our life together. I love you, Travis. I love you, he said. God, I love you. He realized how much she had changed from the mousy woman he'd met in Santa Barbara last spring. Right now, she was the strong one, the determined one, and she was trying to allay his fears. She was doing a good job, too. He felt better. He thought about the baby, and he smiled in the dark, with his face buried in her throat, though he now had 3 hostages to fortune, Nora, the unborn baby, and Einstein. He was in finer spirits that he had been in longer than he could remember. Nora had allayed his fears too. Vince Nasco sat in an elaborately carved Italian chair with the deep glossy finish that he had acquired its remarkable transparency only after a couple of centuries of regular polishing. To his right was a sofa and 2 more chairs and a low table of equal elegance, arranged before a backdrop of bookcases filled with leather-bound volumes that had never been read. He knew they had never been read because Mario Tetragna, whose private study this was, had once painted to them with pride and said, expensive books, and as good as the day they were made because they've never been read. Never. Not a one. In front of him was the immense desk at which Mario Tetragna reviewed earnings reports from his managers, issued memos about new ventures, and ordered people killed. The Don was at the desk now, overflowing his literature, eyes closed. He looked as if he was dead of clogged arteries and a fat, impacted heart, but he was only considering Vince's request. Mario, the screwdriver, Tetragna, respected patriarch of his immediate blood family, much feared Don of the broader Tetragna family that controlled drug traffic, gambling, prostitution, loan sharking, pornography, and other organized criminal activity in San Francisco, was a 5'7" 300-pound tough with the face as plump and greasy and smooth as an overstuffed sausage casing. Damn, so he's really that big and chubby. Really that obese. It was hard to believe that this rotund specimen would have built an infamous criminal operation. True, Tetragna had been young once, but even then, he would have been short, and he had the look of a man who'd been fat all his life. His pudgy, stubby finger hands reminded Vince of a baby's hands, but they were the hands that ruled the family's empire. When Vince Nasco had looked into Mario Terranya's eyes, he instantly realized that the Don's stature and his all too evident decadence were of no importance. The eyes were those of a reptile, flat, cold, hard, watchful. If you weren't careful, if you displeased him, he would hypnotize you with those eyes and take you the way a snake would take a mesmerized mouse. He would choke you down whole and digest you. Vince admired Terranya. He knew this was a great man, and he wished he could tell the Don that he too was a man of destiny. But he had learned never to speak of his immortality, for in the past, such talk had earned him ridicule from a man he thought would understand. Now, Don Terranya opened his reptilian eyes and said, "Let me be certain I understand. You are looking for a man. This is not family business. It is a private grudge." "Yes, sir," Vince said. You believe this man may have bought counterfeit papers." Uh-oh. Alright, that'll be the end of today's reading. For a quick recap of what I read, the medium family now, Travis, Nora, Einstein, and the baby that's coming, have now moved about 191 miles from where they were living at. Protected and from the outsider. They are prepared for the outsider. They have everything that they need, all the weapons. They've set up a little tool device that Einstein could easily communicate with them. Like, they're ready. They're properly ready. And also, Vince has gone to a highly rated criminal, Terranya, who, with an intuition that Travis is going under a different name. So Vince is really trying to track down Travis. So yeah, that was a little recap of what I read. But yeah. Hey Terry, you have my word. It will happen. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.